Welcome back, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We are two average guys. It doesn't get easier.
No, it doesn't.
Week after week, coming to talk about Husker football. You'd think it would, at some point.
Sometimes it feels like it could be, but
we have hope.
Sometimes it feels like it's worse. So it's hard to say.
It is hard to say. It was just, we lost again.
By 7 points.
By touchdown.
And another one score loss. The fact that we're both kind of speechless right now is just kind of the way it's been, man.
I'll take a first stab here.
All right.
So we'll visit about some of the penalties, some of the calls by the refs, and maybe no calls. But before we do that, Scott Frost takes a hell of a lot of crap.
Right. Well, we haven't done a show since he had fired 4 coaches.
That's
so,
true. That's true.
But anyway,
but he takes a lot of flack for a lot of things, and he's taken a lot of crap for the offense, for the play calling, for everything that goes down the offensive side of the ball. It's Scott Frost's fault. Not really knowing what Lubick was doing, what the other coaches were doing, this and that. I want to first start off by saying I think he called a hell of a good game.
I think so too. I think Adrian Martinez played a really well game. A really good game minus a couple of bad.
He had one of his best games.
He did.
If you ask me, he had one of his best games. But Scott Frost
probably had his worst. He did. And Martinez maybe had his worst interception of the season. It was kind of a fair catch interception, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, going into the game, what everyone was saying was, Nebraska just fired all their offensive coaches. Wisconsin has the #1 defense in the country. This is going to be ugly. And we moved the ball the entire game.
We put up more yards and more points than any team has on Wisconsin all year.
Not points. Notre Dame got a
couple. Oh, that's right, Notre Dame.
Besides, they got a couple of late pick sixes, but still, we had more points than anyone did at halftime against Wisconsin, and I mean, it was consistent. Yeah. We were able to move the ball more so than almost any other game this year. So that was encouraging. But the defense was not as good as they have been.
No, and so I think, again, Frost, great game. Martinez played a hell of a good game. I thought our line did okay. Better. They're not great.
Bernard is just, sorry, I hate to single someone out, but he's a liability.
We got to stop running the ball up the middle. We continue, and that's the one thing, if I had one thing to say about yesterday's game, we kept running the ball up the middle, knowing that we did not open up holes in the middle. We don't outpower a Wisconsin defensive line. No. We're not better, we're not bigger, we're not stronger, we're not faster. And we kept doing the runs up the middle for 0 yards. And that killed us. We started to get some momentum to where we started to do, 4, 5, 6 yard plays on first down. And that was
tackle.
And that was a huge improvement, whether it was a run or a pass. So we started to see some of those improvements, some of those adjustments that we have not seen all year that were very positive and good to see.
I mean, one thing I will say, and I know I texted you, I was like, everybody's getting the ball today. It was just like every play went to a different player, and some of them are guys that have 1-2 touches all season long. So that was kind of nice.
Shit, we got Brody Belt running the ball.
And
he looked good. Well. He looked good. He's just been waiting for his chance.
And did you see the Faux Pelini Twitter?
I don't think I did.
Faux Pelini Twitter said, Rex Burkhead, that's you, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Because it was. It was like a little bit.
Did I say that? I said he looks, and I think I said this in the spring game a couple years ago when we went. I said, Brody Belt kind of reminds me of Rex Burkhead. Right. A smaller version, maybe not quite as talented, but a smaller version. He just runs like him.
Right.
He looks like him when he runs the ball. So, but I was glad to see him in the game get some carries and do well. It's always good to see that. He's not someone we're just putting in to put in. Like, I guarantee you, he's put in the work at practice, and he's shown hey, give me the ball.
Because Yant was nowhere to be found.
I don't know about Yant. I don't know what happened with him. I know he was there. Marvin Scott looked great.
He did.
When he had holes to run through, Marvin Scott looked good. He was running hard. Step didn't get a lot of carries, but he got a couple carries, looked pretty good. But I think that's one of those things, Marvin Scott kept giving him the rock because of how he looked. And Brody Belt, again, I don't know what he's looked like in practice. But again, I think that's why he was probably getting more carries than Step.
So, obviously, with Gabe Irvin done for the season and Zion Morrison out, it was, and then Ramir was hurt. So it was kind of, and you fired your running back coach.
Yeah.
All that being said, I thought we actually ran the ball pretty well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I know that you didn't really like that little Toure motion that he'd spin around. It was weird. I don't know what.
Belt did a couple. Like, it was just a weird. He didn't throw anybody.
I know
off.
They kept saying eye candy, and I mean it was. They're just trying to go this way, this way, this way.
I would have liked it if it was like if we would have known what was going on, because it looked like they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was a flustered play every time.
The one time Omar Manning came across and they snapped the ball and hit him in the face.
Yeah.
And thank God Martinez got it.
And Betts did that a little bit later, almost hit him. And it's just so I think it was just a little off, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best. I mean, it wasn't great.
So, and I did text you this. My player. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, sure. I'll call my player of the game, Austin Allen. And Nick Zom, if you were watching, yes, I picked him as my offensive MVP preseason, and he had 11 catches for like 143 yards yesterday. Absolutely incredible. And what I said to you, and what I'm gonna say is the fact that he didn't opt out, because he honestly probably should have just opted out, and he's going to go to the NFL.
Yep.
But the fact that he loves this team, and he's a Nebraska kid, and
he wants to play.
He wants to play. And if you listen to Matt Verzal this morning, probably made himself some money yesterday.
Oh. And Vokalek had a good game, too.
He did.
He didn't have as many catches, but, I mean, our tight ends, like Ross said, our tight ends showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, they really showed up yesterday, and we threw it to them.
Right. And that's the one thing. But no, I'm so proud of that kid for playing.
Yeah.
I mean, the team essentially has nothing to play for, and he's still playing and showing up, balling out, and making his state proud.
I mean, you see,
I was very, very happy after the game about that.
Say the same thing about guys like Stilley and these other guys that still just continue to play. And they're at the end of their college careers. Very proud of those guys coming out and showing up and playing hard. And listen, our defense didn't have the best game yesterday. It was actually probably their worst game of the year. But on the reverse side, as we know as Husker fans, there's never a holding call on the offensive line of our opponents.
In Big Ten play?
It just doesn't happen in the Big Ten. They do not hold us ever, so those holes are there. They're very big holes.
But when we have a nice 20-yard run late in the game, then we, of course, get a holding call.
Yes, and so, it's those kind of things are infuriating to see, because I thought that Marvin Scott run was just fantastic. Like, that was his best run of the game, our longest run of the game. He gets called back for a hold that wasn't actually a hold. And then in Wisconsin, we see Hendricks getting hold the entire game. And they don't call it once.
He got held the entire
Don't call it
game.
once. And it wasn't even getting. It was getting held by these linemen that are getting to the next level after our defensive linemen just. They struggled.
Well,
they struggled.
What happened was Daniels went out, and that really hurt. In the second half, he went out, and that hurt because he's a captain. He's a huge guy, and he, fills that space and can get penetration. He was out. And I like the guys that we have. I like Ty Robinson, and
we didn't see Payne much.
No, and as much Garrett Nelson, I love you, dude. Missed a few tackles. So he was in position.
Yeah.
For tackle for a loss, but instead it's going for 3 to 5 yards the other way.
Luke Reimer missed a few too. Kind of angles were off a little bit. So I think listen, Allen's a great running back. He's 17 years old. The kid looks like he's running like he's a pro NFL, pro quarterback.
He's looking like he's like Derrick Henry.
Someone's got to check that birth certificate. I don't believe it. And how's a 17-year-old in a freshman in college already and doesn't turn 18 until next year? Like, that just sounds weird to me.
That's
but
wild.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. But he was good. He was a good running back.
I mean, he was, but we actually kind of kept him in check, except for his two long runs.
And the problem with a lot of our missed tackles against him is we tried to tackle up high.
Yep.
You ain't gonna tackle a guy like him up high.
Well, and not if you throw your shoulder at him.
Yes.
He's gonna bounce right off you.
Yeah.
And that's what Cam Taylor-Britt did.
He did it a couple times.
Cam Taylor on the first long touchdown run, he bounced him right away from all the rest of our defenders.
Yep. There you go. Ross said it too. Kept trying to hit him high. Yeah, you got to go for the legs on a guy like that.
And that last touchdown run that he had, the winning touchdown, I'm sorry, but 2 of our players were getting held on both sides. That's why there was as big of a hole as there was. Just saying.
Wisconsin doesn't hold. They are the most disciplined offensive line, along with Iowa, in the Big Ten and in the country. They do not commit penalties. We do, when we're successful. Right. When we have the potential to win, we actually commit the worst penalties to ourselves. But again, aside from those 2 calls, which again I think were bogus, we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. As far as discipline, we'll get to that. That opening kickoff, yes, we did. Because I mean, what the hell, special teams?
If you think that what is being done on special teams from our coaches right now is acceptable and is good, then you have another thing coming. You need to hire a special teams coordinator, and I really hope that Trev is telling Scott that right now.
I mean, and Frost said, Dawson's done good up to this point, and it's a specialist problem. It's not a specialist problem after what I saw yesterday.
I mean, shoot,
we're still returning kicks.
Yeah, I mean, one, but
still.
But you go back to a crucial point in the game. We're going to get the ball back, and Alante Brown calls a fair catch and drops it. And I don't know what that rule is, but the fact that we got the ball at 6 and we can't pick it up and run it, I don't know what that means or what that is, but I mean.
That's a weird. I didn't know that was even a rule. I didn't know that existed. That's really weird. Now again, catch the damn ball.
Catch the ball.
That you eliminate that problem right off the bat to catch the ball.
Yep.
Couple questions. So I think it was Adam. Maybe his first name. Sorry
guys.
On the screen, but Adam asked about if we would rather have the close losses like we've had this year in every game that we've lost, or we'd rather get blown out. That's a lot of people struggle with that question. I don't. I'd much rather lose in a close game.
Yeah.
Because if we get blown out, and we've seen this in the Husker games, in previous coaching, in previous coach teams, they give up. If you get blown out, at some point you are giving up in that game because it's insurmountable.
Right.
We've been in every game. Our guys are fighting back every game. They're playing hard. They do not give up. And that is one thing about this team that I can say that I haven't seen in a Husker team in a long time is, yes, we're losing. And no, this is not a moral victory speech.
Right.
This is, these guys are fighting their asses off. They're still college. Yes, they're young adults. We're not going to call them kids. They're young adults, but yeah, they're kind of kids too. But they're fighting their asses off game after game after game. They're not giving up, and we are getting those chances to win. And the football gods just don't like us.
Yeah.
Just something is not going our way every game.
Upset somebody somewhere at some point that we got to reverse somehow.
Sorry, I'll get to Eli's comment here real quick before it disappears, but he mentions our offensive tackles ranked dead last in Power 5 teams in pass blocking. Martinez is the most pressured QB in any Power 5 team.
Oh, yeah.
We need some work on our offensive line. And, we've talked about this, second worst in the Big Ten overall grade, and second most sacks allowed. We've talked about this multiple times because people keep coming down on Martinez.
They do.
And yes, he does make some mistakes. He's not the most accurate all the time.
And he does make mistakes at crucial points.
He does. But yesterday was not the case. He threw that one, he threw the one interception that was not his fault. The other one, I think Oliver Martin gave up a little bit.
Gave up or didn't try?
Both. Yeah, kind of slowed down, stuck out his hand and pulled it back, and that's it. But and I actually went off on Sam McEwen on Twitter because he's like, oh, he threw it right to the safety. No, he actually threw it to
really. He threw it to the receiver that didn't
going.
Put his hands out.
But he threw it exactly where Martin was going, and that's what you do as a quarterback. You don't throw it behind him. You don't throw it high. You throw it where they're going, and he did that. And right when he threw it, I'm like, oh my God, where's it going? And then Martin, and then he just didn't get it. Yeah. So frustrating. Yeah, so like Ross said, first pick was on Oliver. I watched it over and over again. You and I discussed that yesterday,
we did
Ross.
Talk about that, Ross.
Would you rather fire Frost now, win a national championship within 5 years, and keep Frost to win 2 national championships?
Sam's making jokes.
Hey, Notre Dame, good luck getting in the playoff. So who should be our offensive coordinator coming into the next season, and should Frost give up play calling? So, you want to take a shot at that one? Do you have? Sorry. I don't have any ideas personally on offensive coordinator. I don't have.
I'll have to do a little research on that.
People are throwing names out.
I know. Frost said that they've got a lot of interest, and he knows people obviously more than we do. So I really don't know. Maybe look at some of those. I hate to say it, but maybe look at some of those Group of 5 schools that have that are good this year.
Yeah.
And have high-powered offenses and see if there's somebody there. I don't know. What was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
And then should Frost give up play calling?
It's tough, man, because I'd say yes, just just to spark something different.
Yeah.
Just to do something different.
If we hire an offense coordinator, absolutely. Don't hire a wide receivers coach to also be your offense coordinator.
Right.
Because I don't know if Lubick was doing I don't know what Lubick was doing. I have no idea.
I know that's the thing with some of these coaches. It's like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Because we're not seeing development, and you're getting paid a lot of money more than I'm getting paid, and it seems like you're not doing.
And I would love to see. We did. Holy crap! Like we could have ran the option all game yesterday.
We probably could have.
And then go with some play action because they couldn't stop us. They could not stop the option offense, and we could have kept doing that instead of keep trying to run the ball up the middle. So I would love to see, and we could do a spread offense again. If we have the right offensive line who can get the speed and start pulling, get our guards to pull, our tackles to get out in front, that could very much happen.
Well, and we do have some offensive linemen that I like and that are young that have some serious potential.
Yes.
So
they have to be developed. Which is why Greg Austin is no longer there.
Correct.
Because we have not seen that development in 4 years. We still have not been good.
Maybe Cam Jurgens, but
Cam's going pro. I mean, that guy's he's
a stud.
I tell you what, if Nick Gates can be a pro center,
right.
If Nick Gates can go to the NFL, Cam Jurgens is going to the NFL.
I thought Nick Gates was kind of a POS.
He was also a tackle or a guard. He was not a center.
He might have been.
But I think Cam Jurgens has a bright future ahead of him. I've got Coastal Carolina, Tommy Reese, Dan Mullen. Tommy Reese, get out of here with that. So a couple good opinions from Dalton there. The O-line coach, again, I think is going to be huge going in, like Ross says, this next season because we have to get somebody getting those guys to that next level of play. Well, they're at like that beginner level, and they're not quite at the intermediate. They're still at the beginner. We need to get to intermediate, then we need to get to advanced to be successful in the Big Ten, to play Big Ten football.
And we have the funds to pay coaches. I don't care what our record is for the last 4 or 5 years. We have the money to be able to pay for better coaches to win more games.
And I would love, Dalton, as much as I didn't like him when he was the head coach, Bill Callahan, as the offensive line coach. He was the offensive line coach
like the best,
for the Cowboys.
He's like the best offensive line coach in the NFL.
Yes. Well, for like the Cowboys, the Redskins, the Giants, he's been like all over the NFL, and he's definitely the best to do it.
Yeah.
And yes, I would love to bring him back. I don't think it'll happen. Probably. Got a little sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, but again, I think Scott Frost, again, he's getting some help from Matt Davis, and a lot of people don't like that. I don't care. Bring in the best guy. I don't care who's helping him. He's got a lot to do. He still has to prepare for 2 more games. I hate Tom Herman, Matt Miller, but I also agree that he's probably a better offensive coordinator than head coach.
He was an absolutely amazing offensive coordinator for Ohio State.
Yes.
Which is why he got the head coaching job at Texas.
Yep. So I'd rather have him. No Sarkisian. No. Again, another offensive coordinator that goes to be a head coach that just doesn't have success.
Yeah.
And Texas lost again yesterday. So,
but
again, Steve Sarkisian is a good offensive coordinator. Yeah. We saw he was good at Bama. But I don't like him personally. But I don't like Tom Herman either. I don't.
At this point, I don't care if I don't like the person. As long as we're good, I don't care.
There's one guy that I will say no to. Only one guy. Only one in the entire country, in the entire coaching history, and that is Urban Meyer.
Oh yeah.
Do not talk to him. Do not bring him to Nebraska. If you do, I'm burning everything I own with the N on it. Everything that's red that says Nebraska, it's going in the trash. I will find another team. I will be a bandwagon fan for whoever's winning for the rest of my life. Do not reach out to Urban Meyer. So we won't do that, but we will. We have the money. We have the money to do so. Like you said, people talk about firing Scott Frost. It's not an issue of money. It's not.
No.
It's an issue of you have to let go of the guys that you brought into the situation that are not being successful in order for you to have success. And you have 1 year to do it. If you cannot be successful next year, you can't meet the metrics they put in place, which is definitely a win-loss situation as well. If you can't do that, you're gone. And I think that's the right thing to do. I like it. You give him 5 years. If he can't do anything after 5 years with a winning record, then sorry, you have to go.
So
I love you, Scotty, but
going back to that question of would you rather have close losses, or go 9-3 and get blown out in those 3 losses? had this conversation with my boy Chris Percival this week.
Yeah.
And hadn't talked to him for a while. Shout out to Chris. And he was like, man, I loved Bo. Like, how you feeling about Frost? Like, with these close losses and stuff. And I'm just like, man, it was tough because we won 9 games a year.
Yeah.
But then those games, like you said, we gave up. We're 3-7 playing on the road against a top 15 team, and we should have won the game, and we did not give up.
Not only a top 15 team on the road, but what a lot of people say in the Big Ten, going to Camp Randall and winning is not easy to do.
Right.
Everybody will tell you that. It's
Exactly.
not easy to win there. They put that place up against Penn State,
Right.
And people say Michigan Big House is not that hard to play in because you get a lot of old geezers there that don't cheer and don't get loud. But they put it up against Penn State, and there was a Michigan fan that said that Nebraska, when they went to the game against Michigan, that was they put it up against Penn State. They're like, that was probably the best atmosphere.
Oh, dude, we were there. It
right
was
behind Penn State.
It was popping.
So I give it to our fans too, but going to Camp Randall and winning is not easy to do.
I guess it is kind of crazy to me that we were a 3-7 team, and we competed that hard and that well in that game yesterday. That was impressive to me.
Yeah.
And the announcers were saying it. They were saying it. I watched College Game Day on one TV and Big Noon Kickoff on the other, and both of them were like, this is like the best. I mean, you never want to be 3-7.
Yeah.
But this is like the best 3-7 team, and they're still competing, and they're not giving up on their coach.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me.
And they're going out on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and being like, I think it was Jamari Butler, Latrell Neville said, "That's my coach." Like frost season, and then Butler responded and says, "That's my coach. I'm not going to play with anybody else."
Well, and going back to my conversation that I had with Chris, he said, have you, because he's like, I've been seeing all the cool things you guys have been doing. Have you guys, talked or with any current players? And I was like, yeah, we actually have.
Yeah.
And he's like, are they on board with Frost? And I was like, all in.
Yeah.
All in.
All in. All in.
So
they love the guy. He is a player.
I mean,
coach.
JoJo Dobin played that Ohio State game. Hurt.
We've talked about it. He's a player's coach.
Yeah.
Dalton asked next year if we had next year's schedule this year, are we sitting at 3-8? No, I think we're probably 8-3, 9-2. Easy.
I suppose I'll have to look through. I know we played Northwestern Ireland, and then
we still play Oklahoma.
Like North Dakota, we got Oklahoma at home.
I'm still saying no. I think we're 9-2 at this point. But who knows?
I mean,
we still have one of the toughest schedules.
And somebody did ask me the other day. They said, "So what happens if Frost goes 6-6 next year? Do you keep him?"
I don't know what the
And I said, I don't know. I would have to see how those games went.
Yeah.
And, god dang, dude, all these teams we're playing are right there in the top 15, top 20.
Yep.
And we're right there with them.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma could win the Big 12. Ohio State is going to win the Big 10.
Yeah.
They were winning 49-0 at halftime yesterday.
Yeah.
And we were down by 6 with 6 minutes left, going in, and instead of going for it, we tried to kick field goal and miss. Man.
Miller asked about Solich coming back as offensive coordinator. I just don't think it happens. I think he's done coaching. He's a little bit older now. I think he doesn't want that stress. Probably just wants to live the rest of his life. I don't know if he has grandkids, whatever. But that's a point Jimmy and I talked about yesterday a little bit too. And this is why we have the show. We text all the time during the games, anyways. But if we're not watching them. But I told him, I said, it's frustrating watching these other games when you see Michigan State play. You see Ohio State, Michigan State play. You're going to see Ohio State and Michigan play next week, and Ohio State's probably going to run them into the ground because that's what they do. And you see these games, and it's just infuriating because it's like we played against these teams better, yet
than anyone else.
Yeah, we're keeping it closer. Ohio State, we were their toughest game all year.
Yeah.
Michigan, their toughest game. Michigan State, their toughest game.
Oregon did win at Ohio State. And
week 2.
And they looked good.
I'm talking about when Ohio State was humming, though.
No, and
Ohio State was
100%.
Ohio State's gotten better.
Ohio State has gotten way better.
So
and we hung with them.
Yeah, and so the fact that we are not getting blown out, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, is yes, it sucks, and this is not. No, it's not a moral victory, rah rah. No, it is. The guys aren't giving up on their coach. They've given up on their coach in the past.
Yeah.
And I think coaching coaching has given up in the past.
Yeah.
Our coaches are not doing that now. Scott Frost is not doing that. His emotion on the sideline after that no call, I thought he was going to just absolutely power drive that.
He was ready to
ref. Throw hands. And everyone's like, hey, I'll go fund me. Like,
I was ready to throw hands.
Yeah, go nuts. Talk about it after the game. Get fined. You start to GoFundMe. Everyone's going to pay that fine.
Oh, for sure. I'd pay.
The national media, when ESPN is standing up for your team, when they have not done that in however many years, 20-some years, and ESPN is saying that they made a bad call. They made the wrong call. Big Noon is saying you made the wrong call.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying you made the wrong call except for Wisconsin fans. Everybody. Even some Wisconsin fans. That you know you messed up. And that is where it was so infuriating. We've been upset this year. And Jimmy and I talked about it. We've been upset. I've never been more pissed off at the end of a game than I was yesterday's game. I was straight just pissed.
Right.
And I'm not someone that gets angry. I do not. I'm a nice person. I keep my temper, but I was fueled and I was so mad. I'm watching the game with my dad, and I had my kids there, so I couldn't get too angry. But inside, like,
I didn't have kids, so yeah. I was screaming.
Inside, like, just the fire inside me. And I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. I shut off all social media about 20 minutes before that, 30 minutes before. I tried to stay off Twitter as much as possible and other social media because I knew what it was going to look like. Tim, I'm never nice to you. I still love you, buddy. But it was so infuriating because, yes, that last call did not determine. It kind of did determine the outcome. There's a lot of things that could have determined the outcome well before that. We know that. And we know that last call at the end of the game in any sport you watch is never what determines the outcome of the game. But in that situation, you cannot not throw that flag. You have to throw the flag.
And
because it is clear, and it wasn't even like a bang. It was 10 feet away from Betts as he jumped in the air, and he gets knocked from behind, and the guy's not even looking at the ball.
Right. And to be fair, that doesn't mean that we even score.
Yes.
Because we still have to go in and score, and then go for two, which I think we would or should have done.
Frost said he wasn't going to do that.
Yeah,
we would have 4 seconds left after that. We would have called our last timeout.
Right.
And we would have probably done an Adrian keeper for the touchdown and the win.
Yep. And then whatever 2-point conversion play, whatever.
Which it would have been really cool to get Cam Jurgens in there to run the ball as a lead blocker, get a fullback in there. But it's just frustrating. So, and the fact that again we were so damn close, and I'm like, we're gonna win this game. I had such a. It was like Iowa. What was it? 2 years ago, when we were on that winning drive. And Adrian Martinez gets hit because someone biffed their block. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, yeah.
Last year, 2 years ago, whatever. And they missed that block, and Adrian fumbled the ball after getting hit. That was like that sinking feeling in your body, and it was just like, oh, wow. Yeah. And that was the last game of the season. It stopped us going to a bowl. So this was a little bit different as far as scenario, but...
it was still demoralizing. I get it.
Man.
Like you said, that one play doesn't win or lose you the game, but
it could have.
It essentially loses you the game. Mm-hmm. So it's very frustrating, and especially when calls haven't gone our way for years.
Yeah.
And again, and we can put it up if you haven't. That on the left side video, show that play. On the right side video, show that JoJo Doman pass interference against Michigan. That cost us the game. Yeah. That was not pass interference.
That gave them a touchdown before half that really just changed the outcome.
Yeah.
Or changed the momentum of that game.
It kind of changed the trajectory of the game.
Yep.
And put those side by side and then tell me what pass interference is.
Yep.
I don't know.
So again, you can't rely on the refs you can't put refs in that position, but the refs are also put in that position to make that call.
Well, and we.
But before here, so I talked about Scott Frost's play calling.
Right.
That was fantastic. We get the ball down at the 21-yard line, whatever it was, and we throw a pass to Austin Allen. He gets held, pass interference. A lot of people didn't think. A lot of Wisconsin fans and Twitter's like, oh, maybe that wasn't pass interference. I'm like, he's 7 feet tall.
He was like 2. He was like a foot and a half taller than that.
And even if that ball landed out of bounds, but where it landed was the corner, Austin Allen could have gone up and got that easily.
100%.
He didn't probably have to jump very high, so he could have had that. But then the problem is we get a hold on the next play,
right?
Get back to the 20-yard line, whatever it was, and instead of just trying to get half of your yards, you have 3 timeouts. Instead of just trying to get there with 3 timeouts, with like 30-some seconds left, we went for the end zone. We kept going for the end zone. Why?
Well, first thing that happened was we let the clock go a lot longer than I thought we should have.
We did.
And when we have three timeouts. Because if you let it go down, then you're a little stressed. Yep. If you call a timeout early, then you can throw a pass and go out of bounds and stop the clock.
Yep.
But when you limit yourself, with that clock management that I think Frost has had an issue with since he's been here.
Well, and that's because he's trying to manage the play calling and the game, and that's why I would love to give it up.
So that was the first thing. I was like, "What are we doing? Like, run a play, stop the clock."
Yes.
So then you're trying to run 3-4 plays in a 30-second window, and that's tough to do.
Yep.
And especially when you're trying to throw the end zone.
And especially when you're a team who doesn't have a comeback win in that nature.
And you're 4-19 in 1-score games.
Yes. So I did think that was probably the worst part of the game as far as clock management from our staff, because I understand you don't want to give them the ball back. So I understand letting the clock go down. But I think those play calls, once it got to the 20-yard line, 1st and 20, and you had to get down to the 1-yard line to get a first down, or 2-yard line to get a first down, we kept going for the end zone. I would have liked to see, hey, let's run a short slant route to Toure, to Betts. Just give us half those yards back to make those next couple plays easier to our tight ends who can go up the end zone.
Well, and it happened earlier in the game, too. We went for it on 4th down in the red zone, or, on that half of Wisconsin's field, and Wisconsin side of the field, whatever. And on 4th down, we threw the end zone. But we didn't it wasn't 4th and goal. We just needed to get 7-8 yards.
Yeah.
But we throw a 25-yard pass, and it's like, man, why can't we just do a play to try to get the yardage? We don't need a touchdown.
Yeah. And we at Nebraska, and Dan says that's typical Scott Frost. I think that was Bo Pelini. That's historically Nebraska before Solich, after Solich.
After Solich.
100%. That is, hey, let's not just get chunk yards. Let's get it all on this play. Hey, it's 3rd and 15. We're clearly not going to be kicking a field goal. Why not get half of your yards and then try to get it on 4th down? You're going for it on 4th down either way. Try to get up to a short yardage play. That's historically.
It's very infuriating because you know you're going to go for it, but you throw a 30-yarder when you only need 15, when you could get 10, and then it's 4th and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Miller here says, any clue why he burned Smothers' red shirt instead of putting in Henrik Harburg instead? I don't know. I mean, Smothers, he does have that COVID year as well. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
I know when he came in, I didn't think about his red shirt getting burned, and I saw it all over Twitter, and I was like, oh, man, what are we doing? But I mean,
I don't know. I got nothing for you, Matt.
I really don't have anything for you. Do I think that Logan Smothers is going to be like a 3-year starter? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I like him when he comes in. He can run the ball really well. He's thrown the ball decent when he's got in.
There's a reason why he doesn't come in when Adrian's hurt, because he is not developed.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they put him in there. I think in that position, yes, either bring in Harburg to hand the ball off.
They should have brought in Masker to hand the ball off.
Masker.
They should have brought in Masker to hand the ball off and go to halftime.
Or do a wildcat.
And then say, Martinez, are you okay to go?
Yeah.
And then we'll make a decision after that.
Yeah. Or do a wildcat with Brody Bell. I mean, or Alante Brown. I mean, I did like seeing Alante Brown out there a little bit more. I'm a huge fan of Alante Brown.
Me too.
I think he's going to be a stud for us this next year coming up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't got anything for you, Matt. I got nothing.
That was interesting. I'm
I
not really sure why they burned his red shirt. That was pretty.
Yeah, I do think Henrik Harburg is going to be amazing for Nebraska. They may have burned the red shirt as well for that reason, knowing that, hey, we're going to burn the red shirt now because maybe Adrian's not coming back next year. So now we got Smothers.
I think they said Scott wants him to come back next year.
But that's beside. I don't know what's going to happen. But either way, maybe they don't know that, or maybe they do know that. So Harburg, they want him to not play quite yet, get Smothers, burn that red shirt. You're going to start playing in the next few years. Then we'll get Harburg behind you. I don't know. Just throwing scenarios out there. But
and we haven't said this yet, but shout out Adrian Martinez, most yards as a quarterback in Nebraska football history. Yeah, that's awesome, and
to do it without a winning season,
4 losing seasons.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Again, that just goes to show how good he is.
And he is, and he is.
Or
and
sorry, hold on. Before I said how athletic he is.
That's a good way to put it. Because, like I said to you, a lot of games we're losing in the second half. So he's throwing the ball. It's not option pitch. And, when you think about it, in the whole scheme of Nebraska football, a lot of those quarterbacks were option quarterbacks. Yeah. And, they got a lot of rushing yards and stuff like that, but they're not throwing the ball nearly as much. I mean, Tommy Armstrong was the one that he passed. Yeah. And that's because he was a 3.5, 4-year starter, and we weren't really that good during that time either. Yeah. So,
that's true. And Matthew Miller, I can't tell if you're yelling at us because you go from lowercase to all caps. I don't know if you're yelling at us or not, if you're just excited, but so
Harburg will be in the future, huh?
I think Harburg, again, everything I've heard is Harburg's got a better arm than Smothers. He's more accurate.
Got kind of more of like a pro-style quarter body type, if you will.
Yeah, and again, we go back to the offensive line. Dan says he hopes Adrian doesn't come back. He's not the team that's going to help us take the next step. I agree, but I also disagree with that, only because, again, as these other guys are making the point of our offensive line. We know where we're at with our offensive line and where we've been for a few years now. We don't have the offensive line he had his freshman year. We don't have that protection that he had his freshman year. And he was able to do a lot more his freshman year. Now we're not able to see that athleticism really take place. Plus, he's been injured a lot because he keeps taking hits, so he's not willing to take that hit like he used to.
Right. And on that point...
So I agree, but I can see both sides of it, Dan. So I get what you're saying.
Plus...
I don't disagree.
He's played at least half of this season injured, and he's been pretty damn good, if you ask me. Yep. And he's got a lot of heart.
Yes.
So
again,
he's for that for sure.
He is a great guy. Everyone knows he's a great guy.
And he'll throw an interception. I'll be like, here we go again. But I still, then he'll have a rushing touchdown, and he'll throw a 75-yard pass to Torrey. And it's just like
he's up for a Man of the Year award.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many things. It's like feast and famine.
Yeah, and we talked about Toure there, so I have to give a quick shout out to also not only Toure because he had a fantastic game.
He made himself some money too, if you ask me.
And I saw Omar in there fighting. I saw our guys making blocks off the line a lot. I saw some really good things for our offense yesterday. I was really excited about.
Our offense looked better yesterday than they have almost all season.
Yep.
Probably. Yeah. All season.
Yep.
Against the best defense in the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're right there the whole time.
Yeah, and Dan, like you said, he does so many good things, but then in the moment when we need him, it kills momentum when he does something like that.
Like when he fumbles against Illinois for a fumble 6 and we lose the game off that.
Fumbles with Michigan. I mean, I agree. Yes, so that's the downside of what we've seen for Adrian. So love the guy. I think he has so much talent. He is, I think, one of the best QBs in the Big Ten. But he is the
number 1 quarterback in the Big Ten.
He can also show you the worst side of his quarterback.
I mean, CJ Stroud, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I think our seniors, again, they're still there. They're still playing. JoJo Doman still went on the trip, cheering on his team. That says a lot about him and, again, about the culture of Nebraska right now.
That you take a roster road spot to a player that is out for the season. You could have someone there that can actually play, but instead you take him. Yep. Culture for sure.
Yeah, so I think that speaks a lot to the culture, just the guys that are still playing, because they still have a lot to play for. Even though it's not wins and losses they're playing for, they're playing, hey, I need to show up still and play for my team. And guess what? They wanted to beat Wisconsin. They want to beat Iowa. Those guys are playing if they can play. Yep. If they're not hurt, they're playing. JoJo had his best game of the year and probably of his career against Ohio State.
Injured.
And he needed surgery on his hand, and the doctor told him not to play, and he played
anyway. Yep.
So if that tells you anything about the culture of Nebraska and what Scott has built on the back end before the wins and losses, that should tell you everything you need to know about these kids.
Do you think JoJo plays in that Senior Bowl?
No, I don't think his hand will be ready.
He
he
accepted the invite, but maybe he'll go and just chat with.
I think he'll be on the sidelines.
That'd be cool.
There'll probably be some scouts there too. But Ron Brown, running back coach of the future. A lot of people want him to coach running backs. I'd be fine with that. I think Ron Brown is
I love Ron Brown.
Stand-up guy. Hell of a guy. I think he's going to be a good coach.
For sure.
Rich here says defense and team as a whole needs more speed. Look a step slow. Yesterday we absolutely did.
Farmer looked a step slow.
I would say
and that
Farmer,
sucks because if Deontay Williams in that game, that last touchdown doesn't happen.
I do agree. I think Deontay Williams, having him and JoJo gone yesterday were very obvious.
Yes,
to me,
100%.
I think we have a lot of talent.
And don't get me wrong, Gunnarsson and Gifford played.
Oh, loved it. Oh, yeah.
Gunnarsson was awesome.
Yes.
Actually. And Gifford played well too, but I mean they kind of looked like JoJo did when he was a freshman. He was awesome.
Yep.
But he was a step slow, and that's kind of where they're at right now. So
still young, still
right,
yeah.
and so they'll potentially get there, hopefully get there. But yeah, Farmer, I mean, he's played really well for Deontay, but he's just like a step slow.
He's smaller too. He's not quite as big as Deontay.
Deontay Williams hits hard too, so. Yeah.
But even it's funny because I agree. We did look a little bit slower, a step slower yesterday. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was because again, Luke Reimer took a couple kind of bad routes. To make tackles. Farmer again was a little bit slower. Braxton Clark, man, he was right on that coverage on that touchdown.
I know he was right. I saw him come in. I go, oh okay, Braxton's in the game, and then they score a touchdown.
But he got his hand in there.
I know.
It's just it was a good throw, a good catch. Braxton Clark was there on the coverage.
Because
I'm excited about him.
I like him too because he was a starter and got hurt and then got his.
Hey, answer me this: taken. Did Quentin Newsome play much yesterday?
I don't even know if I saw him.
I don't even know if I saw Newsome on the field. So someone look that up for us. I didn't see him yesterday.
I don't even know that I saw him.
And if he was, he didn't get thrown to. But Quentin Newsome, again, I think we have.
Well, and Cam played a great game yesterday.
He did.
And again, he probably earned himself some money during that game yesterday too.
He on a couple of those tackles that he bumped, that was the bad part. But for the most part in coverage, he was great.
Yeah, one bad play that went for a touchdown, but for coverage wise, he was great.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, Ross. Yeah, he was behind him, but he was still right there. His hand was in there too. He was a little behind. So yeah, a step slow. Again, he's not getting a lot of playing time, so he was a step slow. I don't think he looked lost. I think he was just a step behind. Because he was right there on the coverage. Just unfortunate.
But no, I don't even think I saw Newsome in the game.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I think, our defense, a lot of people think we're going to take a big dip next year. I don't know that's the case. I think, yes, we lose JoJo. Yes, we lose Stilly. We're going to lose Deontay. We don't know about Cam Taylor. I wouldn't be surprised. It all depends on what he's hearing and what kind of calls he's getting. That's what's going to depend on.
If I was Cam, I'd probably leave. But if he's back, then
that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah,
that is huge. So we'll see. I think our defense still has a lot of upside next year. We still have Shenander coming in, and
the linebackers are so much better than they've been for years.
Yep.
So much better.
Yep. So I think we maybe lost a little bit of that leadership from JoJo yesterday. I think Reimer taking the reins there probably, and Henrich. I think those two guys are great.
They've been great.
Yeah, we weren't quite as fast as Wisconsin. I mean, not even fast as Wisconsin. We just took bad angles, bad routes, and then once we got behind, we couldn't catch up.
And with a team like Wisconsin that's just gonna frickin' run it at you every time because Mertz sucks. That can wear on you.
Yeah.
So
and credit to I can't give credit to Paul Christ. Whoever's making their play calls, those little dump plays that they did to their tight end beat us every freaking time. And I was starting to get mad. I'm like, they got 7 yards to go. They're doing a quick dump to their tight end. You know that.
That's Barry Alvarez's grandson.
Yeah. But why the hell do we not have a linebacker on him every damn time? That's all I had to do.
Because they run so much that you have to stack the box.
Yep.
Especially because we know that they're gonna run, and they still get like 5 yards a pop. Yep. So you have to stack the box.
Yep.
And then they do that little tight end, and it's like, God dang, dude, it seems so easy, but.
Yep. And again, I said I was talking to a Wisconsin fan before the game. I said, if we can stuff the run and start to make Graham Mertz throw the ball more, we're going to have 2 to 3 turnovers.
Right.
We didn't do that, though. We didn't do it enough to make him throw downfield. And that was the problem. We start making him throw more downfield, he's going to make those mistakes. But that also comes with pressure, which we didn't get a lot of pressure on Mertz yesterday either,
right,
which hurt us. But again, that just goes to the strength of the offensive line and all their non-holding that they don't do.
Yeah.
That,
he did throw the ball a little better than I expected when he did throw the ball. But he's still not very good.
But what sucks is you look at the stats of the game, and you look at the stats like, oh, Nebraska should have won this game.
Yes. That's how it's been.
The only thing we didn't win on stats was turnovers. It's the only thing we didn't win. And so you look at those stats again.
They also had a kick return touchdown.
Special teams. So I was at I saw that before I had to leave where I was at. I saw that kick return, first play. And I'm walking out of the bar I was at. I'm like, well, that was a good game, guys. Nice to see you. Good game. Nebraska just lost. And I was so pissed off that I'm listening to the radio.
I was so mad.
I was on the radio and I heard we go down and score. I'm like, okay, great. Like, we bounce back. And that's, again, someone was talking crap about Martinez, and everyone's like, these players bounce back. And they kept leading us on these drives to tie the game up, tie the game up, tie the game up, tie the game up, over and over again.
We tied the game every single time, except for the last time that we didn't get a pass interference.
Yep. Every time. And even the guys for ESPN were like, Nebraska, they just won't give up.
Yeah.
They're 3-7, and these guys will not give up.
So
amazing.
We give a kickoff return touchdown to start the game when we fired our entire, minus tight ends coach, offensive coaching staff playing against the number 1 defense,
yep.
And we still, on our first drive, score.
Yep.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of fight in these kids, man.
It says a lot.
It does.
And so no moral victories, of course, but if you cannot see the process or the progress we've made, you do not see the culture shift in this team, the players. You didn't hear this kind of talk about Mike Riley. You didn't hear players being like, or even...
There was a lot of times we didn't even do a show because we're like, why would we do a show? You lost by 45 points and we gave up.
You heard it with Bo. He was a player's coach. Players love Bo. And Brandon Kenny told us too. Like,
I love Bo.
And we talked to Josh Williams. We talked to Cruz Barrett. These guys loved Bo.
Brandon Riley.
Brandon Riley.
Yeah.
These guys love playing for Bo. These guys love playing with Scott Frost. And they will do everything in their power to win a game and go out there and they'll bleed. They will do everything possible. That's culture.
There's just something that needs to change. I don't know what it is.
Well,
that can go from a close loss to a close win.
I think those changes just got made. I think getting rid of a quarterback coach who doesn't develop our quarterbacks. I think getting rid of a running backs coach who doesn't know how to develop our running backs.
I like Ryan Held, though.
I did too. He's a good recruiter, but that's about all he does. And Marquis Stepp kind of talked about it. Stepp said he was a really good coach, but he wasn't great on the fundamental side. Well, he even said it was the fundamental side of the game.
What's interesting is we fire him, and then a couple of our guys play that we haven't really seen, and they're pretty good.
I forgot about Marvin Scott. Marvin Scott.
He got the ball and kind of darted for like 7 yards, and I was like,
who's
21?
Who is that guy?
Yeah. For sure.
And we got to see Brody Belt play again, and he looked good. It's like we could probably see Brody Belt play more. Yeah, I think he's done after this.
Is he a 6-year senior?
He might be. I don't think he would have come back for 6 years.
I thought they said he was a sophomore. He's a sophomore from Omaha.
Yeah, I think he's going to come back. If he comes back,
sophomore / probably redshirt plus COVID year. Yeah. He's probably like
a freshman,
a senior, but he's probably a sophomore.
I would love to see Brody Belt get some more touches next year if he's going to be a mini Rex Burkhead,
or just be a Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, or just be Rex. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. So Matt says, where have the running backs been all year long? Again, I think that goes a lot. It says a lot about Scott Frost going into that game. Again, Ramirez hurt, which helps the other guys, but it says a lot about Frost, and I also think it says a lot about where Held was. Again, love the guy, but I think getting rid of him, getting rid of Mario, and getting rid of Lubick.
Should have gotten rid of Mario.
And who also get rid of Dawson, or not Dawson, offensive line coach. I think those were Greg, Austin, yeah. I think that's where we saw some of that difference yesterday, some of that fire still. Again, these guys are still human, and it sucks to lose your job. They're getting paid lots of money though, lots more than you and I are making probably.
But 100 times more.
And I think they do have good relationships with these kids. And so yes, it sucks because they're losing a coach. And Steps kind of said it too, is you can't get so connected to a coach because it's a business, and that coach loyalty or that loyalty from a program to a coach is not like it is from a kid to a coach.
Yeah.
And so you feel bad for the players that are losing their coach, but at the same time, we came out and we still balled out.
I hope that we don't lose some of our better. I mean, I know Sevion Morrison left, but I hope that we don't lose, some of our better players because their position coach got fired. I don't think that's really what it's about. It's about making a change in the whole landscape of the team, and just like a fresh start, if you will.
And that's why these next coaching hires are so big.
They are.
And it's such a big deal is because we have to do it right. If we don't do it right, we're going to see the same story next year. Yeah. Again, yes, some of it's on Frost, as some of you have mentioned, but I don't think it's 100% on Frost. I think it is, again, you're looking at development of our offensive line, development of these running backs, development of these young kids to get to that next level. That's where the problem is. And if we don't develop these kids in their position, which Scott Frost is not coaching the running backs, he's not coaching the offensive line, he coaches the team. And so, yes, he's made his own fair share of mistakes, he'll own up to them sometimes, but our position coaches, that's why they are there, is to coach those positions. And if we see these positions failing over and over and over and over again, not developing, we did the right thing by getting rid of them, 100%.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, I think we can only go up as long as we spend the money that we have to get the right pieces in place.
Yep. Ross says here, Sevion, he didn't really block, he didn't pass block very well, whiffed a lot on blitzes. Again, if you want to be a running back, you got to be able to block. You have to block your quarterback. If they get past the offensive line, which they do a lot.
We've talked about this a lot this year, or in years past.
Yep.
If you want to get on the field as a wide receiver, you have to be able to block. So you might see Levi Falk on the field. You might see Wyatt Lever on the field because those guys are willing to put in the work to block. They might not be as skilled as Xavier Betts. Yep. They might not be as skilled as Omar Manning, but they put in the work to block in the run game or whatever they can. So 100%.
Well, and as Matt Miller says here, that keeping the tight end coach is the best move.
100%.
Because he took over the wide receivers too, and our routes.
Oh, they were
fantastic.
They were way better. The touchdown that he threw to Toure, it kind of seemed like they were all kind of confused after they had already called the timeout.
Yep.
That was a great scheme there. And then when Martinez rolled out on that fourth down, I was like, oh, we're screwed.
Yeah.
And he threw a 40-yard pass to Austin Allen. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was so disguised, and he was out there, and it was awesome. Yeah.
And we are so prone to being like, oh, he's got to roll out shit, like he's going to get 2 yards, and maybe 2 yards and we're going to punt the ball.
Oh, it's fourth down, he's going to get tagged for loss.
And we did that on a second or third down play yesterday too, where Toure came back to the ball. I don't remember seeing the game this year where a receiver came back to the ball when the quarterback was scrambling.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it. And he made a good throw, good catch. I think we were a couple of yards short, and we're getting the first down on the next play. So, I think that was a huge difference. And like Ross says, we talked about it before. The guys that came with Frost were conference guys. They were not built to coach Big Ten football. And I think that's the biggest. Everyone thought that Mario was a big quarterback guru. Yeah, maybe for a quarterback that's going to play in a high-scoring, high-power offense, not an offense that's going to go up against really good defenses every week in the Big Ten. And so I think we're seeing some of that. We saw some of that yesterday, and it was great. The offense was good enough to win that game. Just came down to a couple mistakes and that kickoff.
And what's funny was, and don't get me wrong, there was confusion a time or two.
Cheers, Miller.
There was confusion a time or two where we had to call timeouts, and the announcers kept saying, I just don't know why they fired these coaches. Why wouldn't they just wait till the end of the year? Well, a couple things. For one, I'm pretty sure Trev went to Scott and said, you need to make a change now. And so he did. But not only that, we were better on offense yesterday after firing those coaches against the number one defense in the country. So, I mean, and they kept questioning it. They're like, I just don't know why you did that. And I'm like, well, I know we weren't perfect, but we were a lot better than.
Well, and you have to get them gone because you had to do some search in that bye week as well, where you're talking to guys that are potentially still coaching about, hey, coming to Nebraska.
Well, because you got to get on the recruiting trail.
Yes.
So you have to get.
So the reason makes sense. Again, I even said I was kind of surprised it happened immediately, but then I was like, wait, I had to take a step back and understand a little bit better. So, I mean,
and especially if you already say you're going to keep Frost. Regardless of the next two games. I mean, we could have lost 42-0 yesterday, but we were going to keep Frost for these two games. You had to make some changes and see what you can do.
Yep.
And obviously, the changes that we made were good, if you ask me. And now
it's the changes we've been talking about for 2 years.
Exactly.
Right? Except for Hell, that's the one guy we haven't talked about, but yeah.
But now you can search for the right guys, hopefully, or whatever we can do to make this thing a little better. So
100%. I think we have the money to do it. We just cleared some space too with Frost's contract, so there's some money to do it. Just gotta go out and get them. And I think it's and some people are like, who wants to come play? Who wants to come coach with Scott Frost? I guarantee you, there's a lot of people that would come and coach in Nebraska.
Oh, I mean,
we are still,
if anything, just for that paycheck or potential buyout. But
if you watch every game this year and you're a coach, you're kind of like a player as well. A player's going to be like, I can be that guy that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
I think coaches are probably saying the same thing. Like, I can go there and I see where I can make an improvement that's going to change those one score losses to 1, 2, 3 score wins.
Right.
Like, and they know you're getting paid.
Hey, Scott, I coach special teams, and you have the worst special teams that anyone has ever had in the history of the sport of football. So I'm going to come and fix this for you.
Help me help you. It's got to be it. I think coaches are going to want to come here. Again, Scott has built a foundation for the culture that is positive.
Right.
As much as people don't want to admit it, if you can't see that this year, then you're blind. Take your blinders off. The fact that we're losing games, take that blinder off and say, what are the kids doing on the field? They're still fighting. They're still playing. They're playing hard. They talk good about their coach. They have they're talking on social media. They're recruiting guys still. They're recruiting their friends and people they know or friends of friends and brothers of friends, and they're trying to get people to still come to Nebraska. That's culture. If they didn't want to be here, they didn't believe in Scott, they wouldn't be doing that.
Yep.
They would not do that. Oh, all right. Woo! So, that was fun. We're coming up on an hour here, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined in.
For sure.
Matt Miller, I think it's the first time I've seen you. Saw a couple other first guys on the show today. I did want to give a shout out to Cross Train real quick. I'm drinking the Bragging Rights Hazy IPA. This is their Iowa versus Nebraska beer. Very good if you like IPAs.
It is good.
If you like IPAs, it does hit you in the mouth the first time you take a sip, but kind of tropical, but it's good.
Took me much longer to drink than said Bud Light.
The Bud Light, but it's very good, so go check it out. Again, Iowa Hate Week, so this is why they do it. They collaborate with an Iowa brewery, so very good beer with Cross Train here in Nebraska.
Please beat Iowa.
Yes, Matt, add us on, share with your friends and family. Lang, thanks for joining today. We've seen you before. Let's beat those Hawkeyes. Let's go have some hawk for Thanksgiving, post-Thanksgiving lunch. Thank you, everybody. Go Big Red. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're two average guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Go Cowboys. Beat those Chiefs.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.